The Church of Virgin Mary, the famous church, is located in Samalot Center in El Minya Governorate. It comprises a rock-cut church that dates back to the sacred journey of the Sacred Family in Egypt. Here in Sawada village that follows the center of El Minya and El Minya Governorate too, there is another cave or church that was cut out in the rocks in the 11th century. It's antique and it's important, and it's called the Church of Abahur. There is another church here that's a new one built adjacent to it. But when the visitors come to visit El Minya city, they come to visit this antique church of Abahur because of its cave and its location. The Church of Abahur was totally cut out in the rocks, but originally it was the site of an ancient Roman temple that has turned just like many other temples in Egypt, built during the Greek-Roman period, into churches after the end of the Roman persecution. The entrance to the church is a vault cut out into the rocks and reaches a hall that's quite impressive with its width and vastness of area and great condition. Inside, there is a vertical hall with an ancient wall and a horizontal hall intermediated by an empty square that's covered with a dome. In front of the court, there are two altars cut out in the rocks. The northern one is from the Roman era. There are several empty parts in the southern wall of the court. They were used as old tombs. The chest boxes, where people ask for wishes and donate or promise of certain givings in case their wishes come true, are there too, together with pictures of saints. There are ancient copies of the Bible well preserved behind glass for all visitors to see, and they add sanctity and richness to the ancient cave. The altars are made of wood that's inlaid with crosses made of ivory. a style that prevailed in altars as well as prayer niches in the old mosques of Egypt. There are ancient stone jars used in the old church or the monastery for water use, and are kept in the church as well. The church of Abahur is still used till today, being a part of the big church of Dimiana and being a part of the Christian heritage which the Copts of Egypt cherish and like to keep in their hearts and mind forever. The Christians come and pray in front of the altar and pay tributes to the icons of their saints, an image which is found in all the ancient churches and the monasteries of Egypt. The stable of Antar is a magnificent monumental site and one of the rare monuments of Queen Hatshepsut, who has left us with her perfect temple in the west bank of Luxor. Here in Ilminia Governorate and 3 kilometers south of Beni Hassan rock tombs lies a small temple consecrated by the queen to goddess Bakhet, who took the form of the cat in connection to goddess Bastet. She is also represented as a lioness to connect her to goddess Sekhmet, the goddess of war. This temple was built during the reign of Queen Hatshepsut and King Thutmose III during her reign. The temple is famous for the text inscribed on the door sill above the entrance, in which Queen Hatshepsut pointed out all the renovations and reclamations that she has done to the temple that was ruined by the Hyksos. So the Hyksos are mentioned here. Seti first constructed the part of the temple, most probably the inner part, where he inscribed 11 lines about goddess Bakhet and presented himself, offering her a statue of a monkey, which is God Tot. The vestibule used to hold 8 columns, 3 of which remained. They bear the names of King Seti I and King Thutmose III, who inscribed his name instead of the queen. There are 3 scenes in which Queen Hatshepsut is represented with goddess Bakhet. In the niche of the room, at the rarest part of the temple, there is a place for the statue of the goddess. The whole area here was called the Cave of Artemis, in a relation to that Greek goddess, who was compared and equated with goddess Bakhet. There is a serenity in this secluded place that brings inspiration and unmatched spiritual feeling, yet common among the ancient Egyptian monuments. The Museum of Malawi in El-Minya Governorate is divided into 3 sections. The third section is concerned with the knowledge of the ancient Egyptian, like writing, textile, and mummification. The exhibits are displayed here in a gradual stage according to the civilization of Egypt. So you start here by the Pharaonic period, you pass by the Greek-Roman period, then the Coptic period, and finally the Islamic period. Malawi Center is one of the 9 centers of El-Minya Governorate that's considered the second in line after Luxor regarding the number of monumental sites and their importance in Egypt. Malawi Center lies 45 kilometers south of El-Minya city and is highly regarded as one of the important monumental sites in Egypt, for it was the stage of the Pharaonic and Greek and Roman civilizations, and in it our ancestors left us monuments across ages in the area of El Ashmonin and Tun al-Jabal. In 1962, the foundation of Malawi Museum was constructed, and the museum was inaugurated in 1963. It was restored in a very big operation of restoration during the last years, to be divided finally into 3 sections. These sections house the monuments that were discovered in El Ashmonin and Tun al-Jabal, and they are Greek-Roman monuments, in addition to the monuments of Mir. The first hall displays the pottery that reflect the daily life of the ancient Egyptians. The fertile land of Egypt provided the people with mud and silt that were natural fertilizers for the soil, and are also perfect as natural elements for the manufacture of pottery. Pottery is one of the sources of dating any monumental site in Egypt, for there isn't one monumental site that's barren from pot shreds, which are remainings of objects made of pottery but broken in pieces. The pottery making differed from one place to another and from one time to another, not just in the material but also in the designs painted above them, and that differed across ages too. Ancient Egyptian knew agriculture and developed his lifestyle accordingly. He was immediately connected to the flood. Within that vital connection, he needed to determine the time of the beginning of each year, and hence determine and set the agricultural cycle. Since the stars were shining in the clear sky of Egypt in an unmatched beauty, the sights of the Nile Valley's dwellers must have been drawn to them since a very early stage of history. In 2773 BC, the astronomers of Boone City created the solar calendar, in which they divided the year into 365 days, divided into 12 months. Each month had 30 days, and the last days of the year were festival days, in which the country celebrated the birth of 5 members of a family of gods. They are the family of Osiris and Isis, and Set and Nephthys and Horus. The ancient Egyptians must have known the Nile calendar to determine the year calculation before the solar calendar. That calendar started with the arrival of the flood to a certain area that was of political or religious importance. It was essential to set a location to be a formal base and source of measurement. Memphis was the capital of Egypt then, so it was chosen, as well as Philae Island in Aswan, where the mythological sources of the Nile exists in Bigay Cave, and thus a Nilometer exists there. Throughout the entire time of the Egyptian celebration of the flood, or the feast called the Loyalty of the Nile, they have noticed that this event was connected with a particular celestial phenomena that appeared at the dawn of the flood. A special star called El Shara El Yamaniya in Arabic and Sobdet in ancient Egyptian and Sirius in Latin appeared at the eastern horizon right before sunrise, and after a long disappearance that lasted 365 days. One of the most important landmarks in El Minya city in El Minya Governorate is the Mosque of El Sheikh El Fuli. It was named after an important sheikh here. His name is Muhammad ibn Ali ibn al-Masri, but it was given the nickname of El Sheikh El Fuli, and it was known like that since that time. It comprises the tomb of El Sheikh El Fuli inside the mosque on its southern wing. El Minya Governorate is one of 29 governorates comprised within the land of Egypt that comprises 3 cities, El Minya and Bani Suef and El Fayoum. The famous Arabian traveler Ibn Battuta described El Minya when he visited it in the 14th century by saying, "It's a very big city in area, built by the banks of the Nile, and is favored truthfully upon the cities of Upper Egypt. It has got schools and mosques of all sizes and styles. El Minya has played a prominent role in the ancient and modern history of Egypt, and paid its share of sacrifices to defend the dignity of the country against the invaders and usurpers throughout the entire history." The name of El Minya has a long and interesting history of origin. The beginning was the hieroglyphic word Minite, which is a shortcut of the full ancient name Minite Khofo, which appeared in Bani Hassantum's inscriptions, and it means the city of the nurser of King Cheops. That name has developed into Muni in Coptic, and it meant home. Then Muslims called it Minya, and from that name came the modern name Al-Minya, after the Arabs added Al in the beginning. In the same time, it is called Minyat al-Fuli, relating to the great Islamic scholar and scientist Ahmad al-Fuli. The unique status of El Minya and remarkable grand history is affirmed by the monumental sites which it comprises, and there are 5 historical ages that left architectural sites spread almost all over the governorate. The circles of the Egyptian history are completed through the pharaonic history with all its stages, the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. Then were continued in the Greek-Roman period and the Christian and Islamic period.